Hello and welcome to the Ucommerce Masterclass. My name is Soren and I'm your designated trainer for this exercise, where we're taking a look at how to override the catalog context of Ucommerce. The catalog context of Ucommerce, as you know, controls which catalogs and price groups and various other things will be made available to the customer. Today we're exploring how we can override this context and provide a different set of products with a different set of prices on your existing website. So what we're looking at here is the training website, which has been built up with the standard components of Ucommerce. What I want to do is make available new products over here to the left in the catalog navigation. Over here to the left in the catalog navigation, so a different navigational structure. And I want to make other products available which have their prices changed depending on whether I'm logged in or not. So the scenario that we're looking at today is a classic in e-commerce where a customer, a known customer, will receive a different set of products from anonymous customers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a second catalog inside of Avenue Clothing. So you can see right here inside of Umbraco that I have one store set up with one catalog. And don't worry if you're using other CMSs than Umbraco, this is just for reference. The basic idea works exactly the same in Kentico, Sitefinity, and Sitecore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a catalog called private catalog or something to that effect. And this will be the catalog that we will present to customers when they are logged in. Inside that catalog, I'm going to create just a couple of categories so we can see the structure actually change. So we'll call it category 1. And category 2. Oops. Okay. Now I'm going to add some products into the catalog. So fortunately, we can just reuse some of the catalogs, or rather some of the products already set up in Ucommerce. So we're just going to share them from the existing catalog called Demo Store into the new one here. So I'll just navigate into tops here and find some of my shirts. We'll just grab a few like that. Good, and then we'll add some other products to category 2. We'll just navigate again. We'll grab some shoes this time, just 3 pairs. There we go. So Ucommerce is still going to use the demo catalog, given the default context of the catalog. But now we're going to go ahead and grab another a members price group. So I'll just show you how I set that up in advance. So this will enable another set of prices for the products in question. So let's just navigate into settings so you can get a sense of where that was set up, into catalog and into price groups. And I have another price group set up here called members. So you just right click on the price group here, create, select the currency you want, and that'll give you that price group. That's been enabled here on my catalog, so I'm going to set it as the default and I'm going to enable it here just to make that price available. You can add additional ones, but I just want to have that swap with my context. So right now that shouldn't have an effect on our website. If I refresh this page, we should see the same products, the same prices, and indeed we do. The structure didn't change. So now it's time to go into Visual Studio and work with the catalog context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a custom catalog context to the Business Logic project, then register that in an app, push that to the website, and we should be able to see it. So let's open up, see if there's an appropriate place to put this. There's one called pricing here, that might make sense. Site context, actually, let's use that one. So I'm going to add a new class here. I'm going to call this member catalog context, like that. So make that a public class. And we have two choices here. We can either implement the CatalogContext interface, which will give us a whole bunch of things we need to implement, or we can inherit the existing catalog context of Ucommerce. So we're just going to do that because we just need to override one particular behavior here. So we're just going to go with that, and we need the namespace imported like that. So of course the context sits in the Ucommerce namespace, the runtime namespace, and it needs a constructor so we can get it set up. So these are just the default requirements for catalog context that needs to be passed onto the base. So you'll see if I scroll to the right here that we have these parameters actually being passed to the base class. Good. Now, what we can do here is we can override the current catalog name, which is a member of the catalog context, to supply another name whenever Ucommerce is looking for stores and catalogs. So I'm going to override the current catalog name here. Turn this into an actual. There we go. We'll just turn these into actual properties. There we go. So whenever we return this name, what we're going to do first is we're going to look for the scenario that we're interested in, whether or not the customer's actually logged in. So we're going to cheat a little bit here because I don't have login set up on this one. So we're just going to simulate a login, and I'll show you exactly how it would look like for real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask HTTP context that current whether somebody's logged in. Current, what would that be? That would be request. And we would ask the query string like that is logged in. And we'll just see if this thing has a value, then we're in the scenario we're looking for. So we're just going to go, whoops, like that. So if we are in this scenario, we can just return another catalog name. And what we'll do is we'll use the catalog name that we just set up in the backend. So I'll just go back and make sure I got the right one. So that's called private catalog. I'm just going to use that for now. Of course, if you wanted to do something more elaborate, or something where this catalog name was determined based on a property on a member logged into the CMS, that's possible as well. All right. So with this, we have a new class that inherits the catalog context, but of course Ucommerce doesn't know about it yet. So we need to go and register this particular override of the catalog in an app. And fortunately we have our website over here, so we can just expand that, find the Umbraco folder, the Ucommerce folder, and the apps folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another app in here. Or actually, we have the catalog context right here. So I'm just going to add another configuration. And what I'm going to do is I will steal an existing one and rename that. Call this member catalog context. So we're basically going to need some of the same things here. So these two components can go. And in this case here, we're interested in overriding an existing component of Ucommerce. So the simplest way of doing that is, of course, we need the same component registration with the same ID. So we're going to go and find the existing components inside of the installation we're running on. So I'll navigate to my CMS instance here, navigate to the CMS folder in which Ucommerce lives, right there. And I'm going to navigate to the configuration folder, which contains the core configuration of all of Ucommerce. So the trick here is finding the right configuration file. And catalog context, I would say, is pretty core to Ucommerce. So I'm just going to open that up, and I'm going to search out this file for catalog context. There it is. And I'm just going to copy and paste this particular component into my configuration file. Like that. I need some order here. There we go. So by using the same ID as the existing component, we are effectively taking over for what we ship out of the box. Right now, we're not actually changing anything because the service is the same and the type is the same. So we want this bit here to point at our class that we just created. So we need to find the namespace and the entity, or the type, and of course which DLL it is. So let's go back to our project from before, right there, and we'll look at the namespace. That's up here. So we'll copy paste that, like so. We need the type. We'll go back, see what we call the class. There we go. The reason I copy paste so much is just to make sure that this is right. Ucommerce will, you know, throw an error if you can't find the component, but we can just save some trouble if we copy paste. Now the final thing is the DLL, right? So that usually would be the name of the project here. There's a correlation between the project name and the DLL, but sometimes they may be different. So we can just go and take a look at the properties for this project, and we can look at the assembly name, which is the DLL name, of course. So we can copy that, and we can put that into our configuration file right there. Whoops. There we go. Good. So what we've done is we have reused the ID. So that's the same, which means we're going to take over for the existing component. The service we leave in place because this is what Ucommerce uses to find this particular implementation. And then the type is changed to our custom type. So save that up. I'm gonna build this thing, and of course part of the build process is that the app we just created is pushed to the website alongside the DLL we created. And so once this is done, we should be able to go into our website and simulate the user logging in. So we'll go to the home. Okay, so we see that we're using the same catalog as before because obviously we aren't simulating the login yet. So I'm just going to add that in here, and we should see the catalog change, and we did. So let's just navigate into this, and you may wonder why it's not actually overridden the structure. So we are seeing the right products and the right category, but we're seeing the default pricing and the default structure. The reason is that, of course, is we're not maintaining that simulated version here. So I'm just going to add that in, and we should see it square right up. There we go. So we can see the catalog structure are the new couple of catalogs we were using from before, and we'll see the prices changed depending on my logged in value. Now, of course, this is not how you would do it in real life. You probably wouldn't allow customers to just go in and willy-nilly override prices based on query string parameters. So let me just show you how you could do it with the real code. So we'll go back to our class from before. Now, one of the things Ucommerce can do is it has the ability to, it's integrated with the CMS, of course. So regardless of this code running in Umbraco or Sitecore or Kentico or Sitefinity, we can use the same code, and we can always have a chat with the CMS and ask it for things we need. And so Ucommerce, of course, is integrated with the CMS and is able to know whether a customer is logged in or not via the member service we have. So the member service is really just an abstraction on top of the CMS that enables Ucommerce to know whether or not a customer is logged in. So we can just add a member service here. And that's the thing we would actually use to make sure that the customer is logged in. We'll generate this thing, generate a, what would that be? We would do let's just do a field in this case. Good. And so here in our code, what we can do is we will just go if member service is logged in, and we'll just do real simple, or if this is true, right? So if the member service is logged in, the code would really look like this, and that would actually enable us to do it. So that's all that's required to actually create a scenario where the catalog context will actively switch on whether a customer is logged in. Of course, you can make it more elaborate than this. You can take a look at the actual member itself, see if it is from a specific organization, which would be pretty common in B2B, that you would actually have the organization right there on the person logging in, and you could then start to switch out pricing or even the catalog as we're doing here based on that information. So that's real quick a way to override catalog context. So let me just do a real quick recap of what we just did. So the first thing is we went to the CMS, we set up a private catalog, added a couple of categories, added some product, set up some pricing in a new price group for that, which we also set up down here. Once that was done, we switched to Visual Studio, created our new class, the member catalog context, where we could either inherit from catalog context as we're doing, or we could implement the full thing, the I catalog context. Generate that constructor and overrode the catalog name based on what we were looking for. Remember the simulation. And then once that was done, we created a new configuration file down here that would specify the existing component config, or component ID rather, and this information here was found in the configuration files of Ucommerce. So in the core config right there. Once all that's done, we changed the type here to point to our new type, and then everything was compiled and pushed into the website, where we were then able to switch back and forth between the inherited version or not. Excellent. Now's your time to actually try it out. So in the hands-on that you have received, you're looking for exercise 1020, override catalog context. Set aside some time to implement the implementation here, walk through the steps outlined in the exercise notes, and then once you're done, restart the recording here. Okay, welcome back. I hope you had a great time implementing the overridden catalog context. Let's just go over real quick what the catalog context was able to do. So the catalog context controls whatever catalog and price and store is currently being displayed. This exercise simulated a situation where a member logs in and is then subsequently presented a different set of products and pricing based on the fact that he's logged in. We're using the CMS to determine whether a customer is logged in, and we can of course use additional properties on the customer itself to figure out which catalog or price to present. That's it for this time. Thank you very much for participating in the Ucommerce Masterclass. I hope you enjoyed yourself and got your hands a little dirty. Next time, see ya.